everyone, I'm Michelle from Country Morning Creations. I am here today with kind of a craft with me tutorial on how I make these monthly journals. And if you've been following me at all, you know that I make a monthly journal because that's something I can wrap my brain around. A big journal, even this is one that I will be showing you in another video, but a big journal like this to me is too daunting to write in. But my brain can wrap itself around journaling daily and monthly. So I created a system for myself whereby I create a journal every month. So yes, here it is June 2nd, and I'm a little bit behind making my June one. But just to show you, I do basically a daily, this was actually a 2-day journaling spread. And I put all kinds of things in it. I decorate it, I sew, I sometimes put pockets in it. There's flips, I do visual journaling. So to me, this is something that I can wrap my brain around. And then I keep them during the month in this, which is just a folio that Nick the Booksmith teaches, has a great class on Teachable, and I'll put that link below as well. So this is my May very full done journal as well. And so what I thought we would do today is a real quick tutorial on how to make these. I'm going to confess right off the bat that I do cheat a little bit, and I hate having leftovers from cutting pieces off. So I do cheat a little bit. A traditional traveler's notebook is only 8 1/4 tall by about 4.5-ish inches wide. And I really have yet to find anything that is consistent on how to make these. But generally speaking, as you can see, they're narrower than your standard if you were using the 8.5 by 11 sheet. So these are narrower than 5.5 inches wide. And I sat down and measured these, and I literally never made any of these the same height and width. Don't ask me why. I just can't do it. So my point is, it doesn't matter. Make it the height and width that you want it to be. So for today, I'm using the dimensions 8.5 inches tall by 9 1/4 inches wide. And I'm just using a simple piece of cardstock. This is from Tim Holtz, the Wildflower Collection. And as you can see, I've pretty much been using that collection to do all of my journals. And so let's get this cut down to an 8.5 by 11. I'm going to turn it this way. And I've got all kinds of stuff on my desk here today, so I may have to move a few things and get them out of my way. And one of the other things you may have noticed is in all my journals I have a lot of sewing. I'm not going to do that for this one today because I just want to keep this really simple and show you that even you can do this. So let's see, that's about 8.5. And I'm just going to cut it off at the 8.5 mark. So that's 8.5. And then we need to cut this down to 9 inches wide, and I want to keep this piece on the front. So we're going to cut this down this way to, 9 1/4 inches. 9 1/4. I always measure twice, cut once. So we're going to cut this little back piece off. And so now we have a piece that is 8.5 by 9 1/4. And so for this, I do want to, because this is cardstock, I don't like to just fold it in half. I feel like that would really be, I actually put it away. What do you know? I put away my bone folder. So I do score my cardstock. And if you remember, we cut this at 9 1/4 inches. So half would be 4.5 plus 1/8 of an inch. So 4 5/8 of an inch. That should be the middle. Famous last words, right? Never works when you're trying to do something on camera. But let's see if we got that right. Ooh, looks like yep, we got it right. Yay! So I'm going to leave this out for right now because we're going to do a couple of other pieces. So to make yours, now to make the inside, I grabbed some papers. You need 12 pieces of paper, whatever you want. So what I have here is I have a paperback Edith Holden book, and these fit in a little bit better when I do this size notebook than the bigger hardback pages. And I found them both on Amazon. Was it Amazon? No. I think it was eBay. This is just some coffee dyed paper that I had that had holes in it. I'm not even sure where it came from anymore. And then I've already cut down 3 pieces of paper to be the 9 1/4 by 8 1/2 size. And again, with all my coffee dyed stuff, I do neutralize the coffee when I dye it. Now that only works if you know that the papers you're using are acid neutral, and I don't know that all of these are, but it's my goal to reduce as much acid so that these journals last a lot longer. Here is my favorite paper, which is the tracing paper that's very crinkly, and this I think I actually cut to 8 1/2 by 8 1/2, so they don't have to all be the same size. Then I left 3 of these at 8 1/2 by 11. And what I do is I then create what I call a flip pocket, or just a flip. And if you followed me or you want to go back and look through some of my other ones, I love having flips because they're a great place to decorate. You can tuck things into them and use it as a pocket, or you can just decorate the other side of that flip and it will, it looks really, really cool. So let me grab my bone folder. And again, I leave mine 8 1/2. Yes, if you really want to follow the rules, you'll cut that 1/4 of an inch off the top. I'm A, too lazy, and B, don't like to waste paper. So we're going to come over here to the 9 1/4 and just score this. And we're going to do this to all 3 of these pieces of paper at the 9 1/4 mark, because that's what I'm using today. Sometimes I use 9 inches, sometimes I use 9 1/4, and I think if you look it up, it's something else, but that's what I use. So my 9 1/4. And once I've scored those and measured those out, then I can put away my scoreboard. If you don't have a scoreboard, of course, you could just take a tape measure, or a ruler, I mean, measure over, and then get yourself something that's kind of squishy, like a phone book, and then you can score, and you'll still be able to score your pages. Or you can just mark it with a ruler and a pencil and fold it. Whatever works best for you. So then we're going to just take these and fold these over and press them down. Just like this. So far, pretty easy, right? We're just taking paper and we're going to fold it all up, and then we're going to sew it in. So now I'm going to take my pages, and this is where I don't use my scoreboard, and I simply take my pages and we're just going to fold all 12 pages. But I do make stacks as I go so that I know that I can grab. I kind of have a system and a way that I like to do these, an order that they will all go in. So I have my 3 pieces of paper with flips. I have 3 pieces of just plain paper that I've already cut down. We're going to go ahead and fold these in half as well. So we'll have 3 of those. And I am not going to speed up my camera or anything like that, because I want you to see how quick and easy it is to get something like this together and make your own, so it doesn't take hours and hours on end. So here goes this piece. I'm going to fold it in half, and I have 3 pieces like this. This is really grungy. I'm not quite sure what happened, but I love it. And so this is going to also just go inside. And this last one, I'm not sure which way I want this to go. This is so pretty. I may actually just put this in the center of my book. And I think if I'm going to do it in the center, I'm going to go this way. So now I have the center of mine. So I usually start from the outside and work my way in, but today I'm going to be a little crazy and start from the center and work my way out. So the way this is going to work, I start with one piece from my options, one piece of plain paper, then I take a flip, and I'm going to have the flip on the left side this time. Then I grab another piece of paper, I grab another piece of plain, and then I grab another flip, and this time I'm going to make the flip be on the right side. And again, there's no printing on these. I've done no sewing. These are just plain pieces of paper. And then I'm going to take this one, and I personally like to have all my papers stacked at the bottom. You can put them in the middle. You can put them at the top. You can stagger them. Whatever works best for you. This is your journal. Make it however you wish. And then I think for this one I'm going to mix things up a little bit because I don't want the flip on the outside, so I'm going to put that one there. And this one will be out the outside. And if you remember, and you've seen any of my other videos, this is the page that will have all my goals for the month written on it. And I will go in and write all those goals. So let's go back over to the cover. If you just want to leave your cover like this, that's totally fine. There is nothing wrong with just making a cover and being done with it. For me, I at least like to have the month on it. So let's do a little bit of decorating. And this is some craft paper cardstock. And as you can see on some of my other journals, I just used the printout and cut out some cardstock and then used a creative corner punch. These are actually a freebie from Nick the Booksmith on her, I forget what it's called, but it's an account where you can upload images. So you can actually get your own set of these from Nick the Booksmith and then go ahead and print out your own. I am just trying to get a feel for how big I want this because I do like to have the corner punches. You know what? Maybe we'll make this... Is that going to be too big? Not really. Should have made this decision before I got on the camera, right? So I think I need this to be about... if I do 3 by... That's more than 4. I think 4 inches is going to be too big. If I do 2.5, 2.5. Let's try that. No, I think I need to make it 3. So we're going to make it 3. Maybe I will just leave it that big. I don't know. That seems awfully big. You know what? I'm going to just cut 1/4 inch off of each side. I think that's where my struggle lies. I need it to go just 1/4 inch smaller, and it'll be about the right size. So we're going to just take 1/4 inch off. Let's see, is that... let's go this way. There's 1/4 inch. We're just going to take 1/4 inch off each side. And I think now we are going to have the right size for this. Oh, there we go. Perfect, 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 perfect. And I'm actually grabbing a couple of things I forgot to grab. You know me. If I had everything already set out, that would be a miracle. So I forgot, I want to grab my distress ink. I have fallen in love with gathered twigs. I know everybody else uses, or most people use like vintage photo or something like that. But I love the gathered twigs. It's less yellow than the vintage photos. And I know I'm off camera. I'm back. So I have, this is a Fiskars corner punch, and it's decorative, and it has 3 different corners that can be used. True confession, I started using Fisker's scissors probably when I was 6 or 7, and all my life I've called them Friskers. I don't know why I've added an R at the beginning, but I did. And finally, about a couple of months ago, I realized it's not Friskers, it's Fiskers. So yes, it's okay. You can laugh at me. I'm pretty crazy. All right, I think I would like to use this corner, and I'm going to flip it over to make sure everything gets aligned correctly. Now, one of the things I have to do, because this is a heavier paper and a heavier cardstock, it's really hard to punch through. There we go. And get it to punch through. Sorry about moving all of that. So I'm going to just get these punched. Oops, I can tell that moved. But that feels like that's way down in there really well. And we're going to just go all the way around. And one more corner. Let me see. There we go. And there's my 4 corners. And then we're going to just take, I like using a sponge with my gathered twigs because it just does a better, I think, a better job. But one of the things I want to do, oops, let's get that off of there. So I just go around the edge and ink all that up, but I do want to ink up around on the corners too. So I don't just ink the edges. I kind of ink all the way around. And some of this will get hidden behind this piece of paper. And some of this won't. Oh, this is coming out really green because I think I used this for a green. Whoops. That's okay. I use that for a green. That's kind of pretty. I am not complaining. You know what we call these? We call these happy mistakes. So if you know anything about junk journaling and you make a happy mistake, you just keep going. Kind of like the happy trees. So I kind of just ink around it a little bit, and then we're going to grab my, this dries pretty quick. I use the classic Fabric Fix, nothing new there. And I'm just going to glue this down. And I'm not as neat as some people. I'm a little bit messier. That kind of goes without saying, right? We're just going to glue this to the middle. Again, like I said, this is simple. We're trying to keep this really simple. And then I could glue it to the top. I could glue it to the bottom. I think I'm going to just put it at the top. And so we're going to run some glue around this again. And I will go back and glue down the corners, but in the beginning, I just start by getting glue in the middle. And then if you don't put a little bit of glue around the edges like this, you run the risk of catching a corner and ripping it off. Especially, I mean, if you're a really careful person, you would not be like me, and you would probably be able to do it. But for me, I have to make sure I have glue all the way out on the corners or it won't work. So we're going to just add that and put that down. And I love how the green picks up. There's a green undertone that you can see really down in here, that there's a lot of green in this. So actually having that green on there, I think, is great. Now, I'm not going to put the lid on that quite yet because I did grab some number quotes. These are also from Nick the Booksmith. And I have some regular quotes that are also from Nick. I don't think I want something that big, so I'm going to just grab, these are pre-cut out, which is kind of nice. Ooh, I'm just going to grab that one. That one says, words once they are printed have a life of their own. And so we're just going to go with this one. I do want to cut it down a little bit. And this is really cool. So these are not the same scissors. I've seen Yvonne Preston use these. And they give a great torn look without having to tear your paper. I think it's a lot faster to cut them out this way. So I just cut mine out and they get that nice ragged edge, or deckled edge as it can be called. And that was really fast. So now I'm just going to grab this and ink around the edge of this so it stands out a little bit and gives it that vintage look. And you know, it doesn't matter. You can decorate your cover first, or you can sew it together and decorate your cover afterwards. And I'm just going to glue this down real quick. Doo-doo-doo. And then I'm going to put that right here on the front. And you could have put, or I could have put another piece underneath of it so it would have stood out better and done some layering, but in the interest of time I decided I would just do that. So now all we have left to do, ooh, and look at that, there's all that green on the inside. All we have left to do is to sew our pages in. I'm going to show you a 5-hole pamphlet stitch, which is really not any more complicated than a 3-hole pamphlet stitch. It just takes a little bit longer. So what I'm going to do, I find it easier if I paper clip all my papers together. So I'm going to take a minute and just paper clip this all together before I try to punch holes in it. I think I'm going to start over here. There's, again, start wherever you want, but if I have everything all paper clipped together, actually, I don't know why I'm doing this the hard way. I'm used to sewing multiple signatures, and I'm not sewing a multiple signature, so I just need to put the cover on this as well, and we'll just sew it all together in one fell swoop. So I'm going to get this now paper clipped. I sometimes just put 2 paper clips. Today I'm going to put 4, one on each corner or on each side. And you may start to see that it looks like this isn't, I didn't fold this exactly in half. It's okay. We're just going to leave it. Not to worry. And then I have created my own guide. And literally this is just an 8.5 piece of paper by I think like 1.5 inches wide. And I marked it top. And I don't know that that matters when you're only doing a single signature. I place it down in there. Now, I grab a phone book. This was a tip I learned from Nick the Booksmith, but I think a lot of other people do it as well. And I'm just going to put a phone book down. I'm going to drop all this in the middle. I have my handy dandy tool. Now, I got an entire set of these kinds of tools, I think for $4 at Walmart in the automotive section. This is, look around, you don't have to buy the real expensive tools. You could use an ice pick. Anything that's sharp and pokey will work. So grab your pokey thing, and we're just going to go down through real quickly and make sure we have, where's that hole? There it is. Whoops, that closed over. And so I have my 5 holes punched, and we are simply going to grab some thread now and a needle. We are going to, oh, I want to put the lid. So I live in Colorado. We want to put lids back on things because things will dry out if we don't. And I am just going to grab a pair of scissors. The way I measure for sewing my signatures, I measure 1, 2, and then about 1/2. So that's all the thread I'm going to need. If you've seen me use this before, I talk about this. This is actually from my grandmother. My mom found this in a box and gave it to me and said, hey, this was from your grandmother. So I love using things that have been around in my family for a long time. And I think that is a lot of fun to just use things that are found and old and not spend a ton of money on new things. All right, so we don't tie a knot in the other end. Let's do it. We're going to do it. So you pick a side where you want your tails. You're going to have tails left over. So you can either have your tails on the inside and you can add decorative things to them, or you can have them on the outside and maybe even hide them with some lace. Totally up to you. So we go in through the bottom and we pull that and leave a little bit. Then you go in through the next one. And this is where having all your pages held together, they don't slide apart. It is so much easier and very quick, as you can see. And then we come back through this one. Now, this is where it gets a little bit tricky with the 5 hole, because now we're going to skip this middle hole. We're not going to do this middle hole. We're going to go down to this hole and do it. And of course, if you want longer tails, you would leave your tails a little bit longer, and you would have a lot more thread. Okay, so now we've come out through this hole. We're going to go in through this bottom hole. Oops, there we go. Back out through this second hole, and then back in through the middle. And then we'll probably need to adjust these a little bit, because as you can see, I've got one really long tail and one really short tail. So let's do a little bit of adjusting here, if I can get this to pull all the way through and get my needle out of it. There we go. So to adjust this back a little bit, we're going to pull, this is the piece that was left really long. And I'm going to pull that back about like that, and then we're going to pull it through again. And then we're going to pull it, whoops, we're going to pull it from, oops, see, I'm pulling the wrong one. You can tell. So then it goes all the way back up to the top. Yep, there we go. Now I've got it. Oops, now I've pulled that other tail a little too short. So anyway, you can see I pulled this out again. Not to worry, we just rethread it with our needle. Work our needle back down onto that and pull it through. Or not. Okay, I'm going to need to trim that just a little bit, and let's try this again. I find that if you will hold your thread, especially something like this that unravels pretty easily, really close to the needle, it will work a little bit easier. So at this point, I'm going to call this good. So you can see that when I came out, that was a happy accident. I'm not usually that good. I just want to pull these a little bit to make sure everything is tight. And then you simply make sure you have one on each side of this middle string, similar to your 3-hole pamphlet stitch. And you're just going to tie a square knot. So that's right over left, left over right, or go the other way. But you can see I always have the same one on top, whether I'm going from right to left or left to right. And then we're just going to trim these up about the same length and take these off. And voila! You have your monthly journal. And what's nice is there's lots of pages in here for you to journal on. It's about 48 pages, and you only need about 31 pages. So obviously I would not journal on this page, but I can use the fronts and backs of all of these. Some people will write on their tissue paper. I certainly could journal on this, you know, turn my journal this way or write it on it this way. I have flips here for me to decorate. I love to decorate them with things. You can add stickers. So one of the things that I like to do is keep stickers around to just decorate things with. So I printed this out. This is actually also from Nick the Booksmith, but it is a set that I have printed both on clear matte sticker paper and just coffee dyed paper. So for example, if I wanted to just do coffee dyed paper, I could cut this one out. Or to decorate, let's just decorate one flip. I'll show you how easy this is. And then we will call it quits for the day. So I'm going to use this. I think that's really pretty. And I like that it's long and tall, which makes it much easier for me to cut this out. And let's see if I got that narrow enough. It looks like I probably didn't. Ooh, that's pretty darn close. Let's just trim a little bit more, a little tiny bit more this way, and a little tiny bit more this way. And I think this will now fit. And of course there's no piece here, but we're going to just go like this. And we just peel it off. It's the mat. And we just stick it down to the flip, and I'm going to try to get it down on the bottom. There we go. I mean, you could literally use Edith Holden book pages. You could grab, I have a flower book. I could cut out flowers. I could cut out quotes and put them on there. So this is left up for you to decorate however you want. You could add pockets, you can add tags. It's totally up to you. I literally just use a very simple one because I want lots and lots of room for writing. So you'll see that mine don't have a lot of extra. There's flips, but there aren't. So like here's a flip I decided to do. This is a great example. You can use an edge punch on your flips. I sewed lace into this one. There's a pocket there, but I have nothing in it. There's another Edith Holden page, another flip. I did put a pocket in the front because this was my annual goals, so I tucked them in there in a pocket. I did sewing, so there's lots of threads. There is so much more you could do to it, but if you want to join me in monthly, daily journaling, this will get you through what you need to do. So I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial and have learned how to make your own. It's quick and easy and inexpensive. And then I hope this has encouraged you somehow to be creative. Bye.